Stick 'em up. Hey everyone, welcome back to Unsolicited Film Reviews. I'm Zach Miller, he's Martin Cooke, and we're talking the greatest heist movies of all time. We're doing this because the third installment of the Now You See Me franchise is dropping this week, and it's the Magician Heist franchise, uh, which ironically we're not going to talk about this week.
It missed our list. Yeah.
I've got a bit of a sinus thing going on, so please pardon my voice. My performance tonight is brought to you by Clear Eyes Eye Drops, Sudafed, Red Bull, and Kleenex, and whiskey at a later during a drink break. But like the best wheelman, second story guy, or demo expert, I'm gonna power through and hope we come away with the prize, which is, of course, your likes and subscribes. But first, as always, we have Martin bringing us this week's box office report.
All right. So you're probably used to me saying that it was a very weird or bad weekend at the box office for the last little while. And turns out there's very good reason for that because October, it turns out, was the worst October in 30 years. Think about that. 30 years at the box office, the worst October. So,
Notwithstanding the pandemic.
yeah. Pandemic aside, because that was just is a weird time that we're all going to try to forget happened. Um, But we're maybe starting to get back on track this week because this past weekend we had number one place Predator Badlands, which opened with a $40 million weekend. So, some pretty respectable. It's now made 88 million worldwide in less than a week, and that's on a $105 million budget. So, there's a chance it can make its money and maybe even make its budget back and maybe even make some money. The next are, then it drops off a bit after that. We've got Regretting You, which has been around for a while, made another 6.5 million. It's up to 71 million worldwide, though, which is pretty good for a movie like that. Black Phone 2, the horror movie, another 5.2 million. That's over 120 million. And then the two newcomers, in addition to Predator Badlands, Sarah's Oil made 4.2 million and Nuremberg made only 3.9 million. I actually saw Nuremberg on the weekend, and it's unclear exactly what the budget was for Nuremberg, but that has to be a pretty disappointing number for them.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on Nuremberg.
Yeah, I thought it was overall, I thought it was good but uneven. Like
Okay.
I thought it probably could and maybe should have been better,
Okay.
but
Yeah, I mean
it's still worth seeing.
yeah, I mean that story should be an Oscar bait like master. But anyway, so coming up this week, we only have three wide releases, and like I said at the top of the show, the first one is Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Then we have Keeper, which is a horror film, and then we have Trap House, which is an action movie with Dave Bautista. And those are hit or miss, but he's
Yeah,
one of the better wrestler turned actors, so we'll see how that works out.
definitely. Yeah, that could be a list at some point, although it's probably only three or four strong.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, if you go 10-1, the 10 is gonna be like really, really bad.
Yeah. I'm
So
actually going to see Now You See Me, Now You Don't tomorrow night with my buddy and his kids, and got tickets tonight, and it looks like it might do fairly well or fairly popular because a lot of the theater was sold out. So
yeah, we're entering the Thanksgiving slash holiday season, and that's when the box office always starts to tick up because we've been in the post summer pre holiday realm for the last couple of weeks, so it's not really surprising. One thing that needs to be pointed out though is that the Sydney Sweeney movie Christie has been one of the worst box office openings of all time as far as wide release goes. So.
yeah,
It's,
yeah, not yeah, something just didn't work there.
So we had a bit of an interesting conversation, Martin and I, about this episode coming in. What exactly makes a heist movie? how is it different from a crime movie or a robbery movie or a bank heist movie? Like, so we boiled it down to a couple of tropes. Um, there has to be a team assembled. There has to be a mark, not just a bank or whatever. And there needs to be trickery and deception involved, not just use guns or brute force
Yeah.
to break into wherever you're going. Now, not all these movies adhere strictly to that criteria, but those are those are basically our guidelines.
Yeah. But
So
it's for that reason that you won't see things like Butch Cassidy, which is basically just, yeah, shoot 'em up robbery movie, Bonnie and Clyde, things like that don't appear on this list because, as you said, yeah, some sort of trickery, misdirection involved, which is why actually Now You See Me would have been a great movie for this category and is the reason why we're doing this because it's kind of brilliant that they put those things together because that's also magic, right? Magic is also misdirection and trying to confuse people. But that's what we think is basically the essence of a heist movie.
so with that, you want to kick us off?
Right. So in addition to Now You See Me, another one that we considered but in the end discounted is the movie Inception. And the reason for that, and this was my criteria, is that they're actually not trying to take something; they're trying to put something in. And so I think that that made it difficult to include. And also, it was also just very difficult to rank because as a movie on its own, it almost certainly would have been the top movie on the list or one of the top. But as a heist movie, where does it fit as a heist movie? So we didn't include Inception, even though you could definitely make a case that it's a heist movie of sorts.
Yeah, and just for the record, I did argue the opposite that
He did.
that just because it's a reverse heist movie
Yeah.
doesn't make it not a great heist movie because it has all the tropes that we were just talking about. But
Yes.
anyway, yeah. So I lost
And
that.
I actually argued against two, and one made it in and one didn't. So we'll get to that later. All right, so let's kick it off though with our number 10 movie, and that is The Great Train Robbery, also known as the first Great Train Robbery in UK. It is a 1978 heist movie starring, obviously, heist movie starring Sean Connery, Donald Sutherland, Leslie Ann Down. It was written and directed by Michael Crichton based on his 1975 novel. So for those of you who that sounds strange, long before he was well known in film circles for, writing things like Jurassic Park and Rising Sun or being the creator of ER, he used to fairly often direct adaptations of his books in the 70s and early 80s. And then he kind of stopped doing that. But this was a book of his, and then he turned it into a movie and also directed it. It's loosely based on a real train robbery from 1855 in England. So we're talking pure Victorian times here. And essentially, the story is that two thieves, one who blends in well in upper class circles, another who's a pickpocket. They try to steal an enormous amount of gold. We don't need to get into the history of why this gold is there from a safe on a moving train. And they make a note that this is the first time anyone has ever tried to rob a moving train. So to do this, they employ a bunch of cons and with a few helpers, they do this to obtain the four different keys that they need to open the safe. So it's a bit slow moving by today's standards, but it includes so many of the tricks and tropes of a good heist movie, along with some really fun acting by Connery and Sutherland, that I thought this would be a great inclusion on our list.
Yeah, I had never even heard of this movie before. When you put this movie forward for our list, I just thought you were talking about the silent film, The Great Train Robbery. And I guess maybe that's why the UK distinguished it as the first Great Train Robbery. But yeah, this was really fun. Like I just said, never heard of it, but man, yeah, Sean Connery, Donald Sutherland were just had such great chemistry.
Yeah.
Um, Leslie Ann Down was also fantastic, and
Yes.
She kind of reminds me of Margot Robbie.
Oh, interesting. I didn't make that connection. The Margot Robbie of the 70s. Although, yeah, she didn't. It's kind of surprising with how good she was in this movie that she wasn't a bigger name in the 70s. Because you're right, she was fantastic.
Yeah, never heard of her. And it was just a great romp, and I loved all the slang, and
Yeah,
that's gonna be kind of a running theme through some of these heist movies where the cops are called uh not clappers, fuck. Crushers. Yeah.
yeah,
We got
yeah,
like and they have all the different signals, and Donald Sutherland is like thumbs his nose like three crushers over here.
yeah.
Yeah,
Great stuff.
Sean Connery's always just his famous charming self, and uh again the the caper of it all was fantastic. The only thing I had a problem with is it ended so abruptly.
It did. You're right. It's almost like they kind of ran out of budget or something. And they're like, "Oh shoot, we got to end this really quick." And so,
Exactly.
yeah, without giving too much away, it kind of ends, and then there's a little twist at the end, and then that's it. Um, one just interesting note I learned about this movie: that Sean Connery did a bunch of his own stunts, which included, running on top of a moving train, and unfortunately, for what they had the train going faster than they thought it was supposed to
Oh
be
God.
going, and he almost slipped at one point when he
Oh.
was filming this. But luckily, he didn't, and we got a couple more decades of fun Sean Connery movies.
That would have been yeah, that would have sucked.
Yeah,
But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that one, and yeah, I'm glad you put it forward because it is like a 1800s heist.
yeah.
Then we have the Great Muppet Caper, 1981. It's listed as a musical heist comedy film, which basically covers it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And were you a Muppets fan growing up?
Yeah, yeah. Like I wouldn't have called myself like a super fan or anything, but definitely watched the Muppets growing up for sure.
Yeah, so I haven't seen this one in about 25, at least 25 years, but I always just remember this as a great just comedy. And but the thing is about the Muppets is that there's so many adult jokes in
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
and like I completely forgot that John Cleese. Well, I didn't forget. I never knew that John Cleese was in it because I was a little kid and I hadn't gotten
All right,
into Monty Python yet. But
all right.
yeah, I forgot that John Cleese was in the Muppets for like a very pivotal scene.
Yeah, and it's a very long scene, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's hilarious in it in this scene. Yeah, one of the things that's funny about the Muppets humor is that, yeah, like as you said, there's some adult jokes thrown in there, but then there's also just absolutely absurdist humor that like one of my favorite like throwaway lines. They kept doing this thing where Fozzie and Kermit are supposedly twins or whatever, and they're supposed to look alike. And then so after having that bit running throughout the whole movie, at one point in about halfway through, there's a scene where Kermit's sitting on a bench and these two people walk by and somebody goes, "Oh, hey, look, a bear." And the guy responds, "No, no, no, that's a frog. Bears wear hats." So random.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
typical of Muppet humor.
Exactly. And this is different from the other films in that this is a gang that's trying to stop a thief
I did have that in my notes. Yeah, yeah. It's sort of
from
the
stealing
opposite of
the
heist movies. Yeah.
yeah, from stealing the baseball diamond. And as always, plenty of celebrity cameos. Diana Rigg
Yes, yeah.
was
She's not a cameo. She's got one of the main roles.
yeah, yeah, Lady Holiday.
Yeah.
And Yeah, the one of the two movies we're going to be talking about, directed by Frank Oz, actually.
Yes. Well, no, this one was this directed by Oz, or was it? I think it was directed by Jim Henson.
Oh, yeah,
But
you're right. You're
obviously
right.
Frank
You're right.
Oz did voice work of Fozzie, Miss Piggy, and a bunch of others, because he was a mainstay on all the voice work for the Muppets.
Yeah, but just a fun time and not really like your classic heist movie, but just
Yeah,
a fun watch.
definitely. All right, that takes us to number 8, and we've got a newer one, and that is Logan Lucky. And this is a 2017 film directed by Steven Soderbergh. Hint, this is not the last time we'll hear from him on this list. This movie stars Channing Tatum, Adam Driver, Daniel Craig, and Riley Keough, amongst others. And this is somewhat unique in that because it's set in the heart of NASCAR country, which a lot of heist movies aren't. And basically, the plot is so there's this down on his luck former football star, played by Channing Tatum, who ropes his brother when he loses his job. He ropes his brother and a few others into trying to rob the Charlotte Motor Speedway in the middle of the biggest NASCAR race of the year.
The
So,
Pepsi 400.
yeah. So everybody in their area thinks that the Logans, that's the family name, that's Channing Tatum and Adam Driver and Keough, that they're the biggest idiots and fuck ups. And Driver's character even believes that there might be a curse on the family, and so it's basically about them not only trying to get some money and steal stuff, but also kind of prove something to themselves that they're not fuck ups, that they could actually you know, come up with a plan and execute it. And this is maybe the first movie where Daniel Craig uses a southern accent. So it might be because of this that he decided to do it,
Yeah.
or ended up doing it in the Knives Out franchise. Anyway, whatever it is, it's a good choice. Um, this has got all the hallmarks of great good heist movie. But it also has a lot of like touching family stuff. Like Channing Tatum's character doesn't have custody of his daughter, but he's also trying really hard to be a good dad at the same time that he's going through this heist. It's just a fun romp, and Soderbergh obviously knows how to make heist movies.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I think you and I saw this in theaters together.
That is possible. We both would have been in LA at that time. So yeah,
Yeah.
that is possible.
Yeah, we got to see a handful of movies together, and
Yeah.
two of them are on this list because one I know of. But yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, yeah, Sebastian Stan, uh,
Oh,
Jack Quaid, Hilary Swank was in this for a little bit, and yeah, as you said, Daniel Craig was just so fucking hilarious because we had
as
never.
Joe Bang.
Yeah, because he was still playing James Bond at the time, and we'd never seen him do just like a Southern guy. And while it's a completely different Southern accent, because he's just doing like the straight redneck stuff, and he goes to Knives Out, and he's doing like the genteel Southern
Yeah,
gentleman,
yeah.
like the foghorn leghorn kind of accent. But it showed us that he's not just this suave, debonair James Bond, and that he actually has a shit ton of range, and that was my favorite part of the movie. But yeah, it was one of Adam Driver's kind of breakouts. He'd been around, but yeah, all in all, like yeah, robbing like the Pepsi Cola 400, it was just such a great premise for a film, and yeah, great heist film altogether.
Yeah, lots of fun smaller roles too. You mentioned a couple of them, but there's just a bunch of actors and just roles where they just get to chew the scenery.
Hmm. So next up we have Inside Man. It's a 2006 Spike Lee joint. And it's been on record, I'm not a huge Spike Lee fan, but I think this is actually one of his better films, and I hadn't seen this before this week, and I was really impressed. It's got Denzel, Clive Owen, Jodie Foster, Christopher Plummer, the late great Christopher Plummer, Willem Dafoe, Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah.
Just can't ask for a better cast than that. And just it's about it's just basically a cat and mouse game about a heist that happens in Wall Street, and they try to steal a safety deposit box. It is Spike Lee's highest grossing movie ever at almost
Really?
100, almost a hit, excuse me, almost 185 million on a $45 million budget. And yeah, it's just it was kind of a straight ahead bank robbery movie, but there's a lot of twists and turns that make it more of a heist movie. So it does fit in this genre for sure.
Yeah, I think the reason why it isn't, because on its surface, it seems like it's a bank robbery movie. But what makes it a heist movie is they're not actually there to steal the money from the bank.
Right.
Like that's just that's the misdirection, right? What they're really after is something else that the owner of the bank, who Christopher Plummer plays, wants to keep hidden. And it's really about exposing secrets. And so, yeah, the bank robbery is kind of a red herring, which is what makes this an interesting heist movie.
Yeah,
Um,
deception. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I really like this movie. There's a lot going on. Fantastic acting, as you said, and every one of the characters has kind of playing their own little game and has got their own little thing going on.
Hmm.
And so it's really just interestingly complex in that way. I really enjoyed this movie.
Sorry. Uh yeah, so with that let's see if this whiskey can eliminate my cough a little bit here.
Yeah, so let's go to a drink break then. And found a drink that's called the Great Heist. So why not? We'll give it a try. It seems like a very interesting combination of ingredients, and we'll see how it all goes together. So the first thing you're gonna want is you get whiskey, and it calls for half an ounce of whiskey. And half an ounce of
What kind of whiskey are you using this week? Same as
just
usual?
just the same, just what I've got, just my CC that I usually
Yeah.
use for
Still
mixing.
using Jefferson's bourbon.
Right. And then some Blanco tequila. So you want yeah, your white tequila. I'm just using 1800, which is sort of my go-to standard, although usually I go for the reposado, so just bought a smaller bottle of the white.
It's the same portion
It's the
as the whiskey? Okay.
same portion of that, so another half ounce of that. And then 3/4 of an ounce of Cointreau.
No, I could not find that today, so I'm just using triple sec, which is
Oh,
basically
it's
the
yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, I think.
yeah.
Oh, I actually have real Cointreau, which is surprising. Normally, I go with the triple sec because
Ah.
normally I go triple sec because it's the same basically, but it's cheaper
Hmm.
than actual Cointreau brand.
All
Um,
right. Martin going high class this week for the drink review.
yeah, exactly. But this time, yeah, I actually do have the Cointreau, and then a couple of dashes of, and we've had these before, the
Yep.
Angostura bitters. So, a couple of dashes of that. Mix that up with some ice and pour it into a glass. So let me get my ice here. A couple of that in there. And of course, once again, I forgot a cloth on these ones that are
Oh, Martin, come on now. We've been at this for so long.
where you got to mix them up. I know, but all right. So you mix this up, and then you put it in the glass over some ice. I gotta put I gotta throw three ice cubes in there just for the hell of it.
What about the champagne?
Then you put the champagne in it.
Oh,
Obviously,
okay.
you're not gonna
Shake up
shake
a
up the
carbonated. Yeah,
champagne.
yeah, yeah.
And so then afterwards, what you're supposed to do is put in 2 ounces of champagne. So I just got myself a little bottle of Prosecco here.
Yeah, I have
And
a Freixenet.
ah, mine is, I can't read it. That is very poor labeling. It's hard to see it because it's whatever that is, and you can't really read it. Anyway, it's the brand is Villa Santo, but I don't know what the actual name of it is. Anyway,
And on the picture you sent me, they had a maraschino cherry
I'll pop that.
speared with an orange slice. So
Ah, very nice.
I put that on there because I gotta get rid of these goddamn cherries at some point.
Yes, that's right. Oh, shoot. I don't know how many ounces I'm getting here because, of course, this is bubbling up as I try to pour it into a shot glass of champagne. Let's try that. All right. So let's see how this goes. There we go. I actually really like that. I wonder if I should have brought a spoon and mixed it up a little bit so that the champagne kind of mixes more, but
Hmm.
I quite like that.
Yeah, that's nice. It definitely feels good on my sick throat. Uh
Yeah, yeah, I bet. Even with the bubbles, even with
yeah, yeah.
the bubbly. Okay, interesting. All
Okay.
right.
All right. And yeah, it's perfect for a good heist.
Yeah.
The great heist. And
The Great Heist.
there's no heist with greater stakes than whole planets getting obliterated. So that leads us to
Yes, so that leads us to Rogue One. And this was the second one of the ones that I actually argued against including. But we ended up including it. We can talk about why I didn't think it should be on the list. In addition to the fact that, I just thought maybe we would want to talk about Star Wars movies another time. But this is obviously a 2016 Star Wars movie. It's directed by Gareth Edwards and written by Tony Gilroy, of course, and Chris Weitz. Now, for anybody who doesn't know what this movie is about or hasn't seen it, essentially it is the movie that happens right before the original Star Wars. So it is the story of how they come to get the plans for the Death Star. And basically, it's a team of rebels that, in the end, kind of have to break into this base after doing a whole bunch of other things in the lead up, get into this whole base that's a planet that looks very nice. It kind of looks like a base on the Maldives. So I'm down for a space adventure in the Maldives.
hell
Um,
yeah. I'll
and
join you. I'll join you there, dude.
break into that, steal the plans for the Death Star, beam them back up to the Rebel fleet so that they can find what they think is a weakness that's been planted in it by this engineer who's secretly working on their side. So that is the essence of Rogue One. Now, it does have a lot of heist elements, no question. So I can definitely see the argument for it. I mean, the ultimate goal is to steal something from a highly guarded installation, and there's all that. The only thing that for me, aside from the fact that I thought we would just might want to keep this aside for a future podcast on Star Wars movies, is that there isn't that much in the way of kind of trickery or misdirection. I mean, there is a little bit, but there isn't that much. So it doesn't have some of those tropes that you'd often see in a heist movie. But you argued for its inclusion. Why do you think this is an excellent heist movie?
Well, first of all, definitely the stakes that are involved, and just assembling the team also was a huge sequence.
That is
And
true. Yeah, it does definitely have that.
you need a demo man, and you need the guy to infiltrate the Imperial base and all that kind of
The
stuff.
wheelman who's
Yeah,
the
yeah, the wheel,
pilot.
yeah, yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah.
Uh,
Played by Riz Ahmed. Yeah.
sorry. But yeah, I just always saw this as one of the greatest heist movies of all time, even when and this is the second one that I alluded to earlier. This is the second one that you and I both saw together in theaters.
That is correct. Yeah.
So, not that that adds anything to this particular podcast, but it's just, just throwing that out there. But the entire time I was like, oh my God, this is actually a heist movie. And
It definitely does have a lot of the elements. As I said, I can definitely see the argument for
and
sure. And the
and
assembling the team part, you're
and
right,
and
more than
and
anything
Ben
else.
and Ben Mendelsohn's character is obviously the mark.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. He
and
is.
and you need to have a good mark in a good heist movie.
Yeah.
And so just this is one of the reasons why I argued for Inception. It's because heist movies doesn't need to they don't need to be just people robbing a bank or a casino or whatever. And they can be in people's minds, or they can be in space in a galaxy a long, long time ago. And uh,
Okay. Yeah.
I thought the acting was incredible. The plot, it's probably the like objectively as you look at it, it's probably one of the top two or three Star Wars movies.
Oh,
Eh,
unquestionably. Yeah, it really is. Yeah. No, it's a great movie in its own right.
So
Uh,
yeah, it was all that just going into it, and it did make over $1 billion on a very low budget, comparatively speaking, for Star Wars movies, which is about $200 million. And
that's that's crazy that that's a low budget. But yes.
yeah. But
Compared to the yeah, the Star Wars sequel trilogy, definitely.
and also it j- retroactively makes A New Hope that much more interesting
It
because
does. Yeah,
they do
and
they
they blended it seamlessly into A New Hope. And yeah, something they'd made reference to. But now, since you argued for its inclusion, you've done it to yourself here. That means I get to ask the question because what followed from Rogue One was, of course, the series Andor. Have you finished watching Andor yet?
no.
Oh, boo!
I've watched 3 episodes now, but I mean, God, we have to watch 10 movies every goddamn week for this podcast.
We'll take a break over Christmas where you can watch it
Yeah,
then.
yeah, we'll see. But yeah, just hijacking plans for a giant killer space station is just like the epitome of a heist movie.
Fair enough.
Okay, so then we move on to the Thomas Crown affair, and we're talking about the Pierce Brosnan Rene Russo version, and it's based on or a lot of these are remakes actually, which we haven't really mentioned.
So we do have a lot of remakes, and for the most part, we tend towards the newer versions.
Yeah, so directed by John McTiernan. It's a remake of the 1968 version of the same title. Has like I said, Pierce Brosnan, Rene Russo, and this is when Pierce Brosnan was still in the height of his James Bond era, so he was just playing his own charming self, but he was also playing a more morally ambiguous. I don't know if you call him a bad guy, but a criminal for sure.
Yeah,
and made a whole bunch of money, 124 million on a 48 million dollar budget, and it's about a jewel thief who basically
An
falls in
art thief.
love. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Our thief that basically falls in love with the mark that he's going after.
Yeah, so it's this is a really fun one. And this is an exception to one of our sort of criteria for the heist movies in which there isn't really a team. It really is much more about him. Although obviously he has a few other people that he brings into his schemes to help him out. You know, there's a girl who's a forger who helps him and a few other people. But really this is him carrying out these heists, and this movie is just a lot of fun. So the three main characters. So you got Pierce Brosnan on the one hand, who's this uber rich businessman who's just fucking bored basically, and so on the side because he's so capable, he's also one of the world's great art thieves. Um, and then Dennis Leary is the cop. Dennis Leary often plays cops who's trying to stop him, and then Rene Russo is the insurance investigator who comes in from the insurance company to try to make sure that basically trying to either get the painting back or make sure that her insurance company doesn't have to pay out. And of course, that's the romance between her and Pierce Brosnan's character. It's yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of fun, and I love how they used all the art. The use of Nina Simone Cinnamon as musical cue was fantastic. But because it's a movie about stealing art, they make use of that in the heists, especially in the final season where they're using Magritte's "The Son of Man" painting. People may have seen it.
Mm.
You know, the guy with the bowler hat and the apple in front of his face, because it's all about hiding who you really are and that kind of thing. It's just a lot of fun. I will say one thing to note: there is, this was a remake. There is going to be yet another remake. There is currently a new Thomas Crown Affair filming that is set to hit theaters in 2027, and it will be directed by and star one Michael B. Jordan. This will be his second directing job after Creed 3.
Wow. Okay,
So
that's it. Yeah,
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 it
that's
should be
interesting.
interesting. I'm
Yeah.
interested to see what he does with it. All right, that takes us to yet another remake. And this is while the Thomas Crown Affair. Oh, sorry. One final note on the Thomas Crown Affair before I move on. This Thomas Crown Affair also has Faye Dunaway in a small role as a
Oh.
psychiatrist, and she was this one of the stars of the 1968 movie. She basically was sort of, the movies are somewhat kind of different, but she was sort of in the Rene Russo role. So kind of cool that they brought her back to have a role in the remake.
Hmm.
Um, that didn't happen in this next movie, which is The Italian Job. And this is one where people could argue that maybe we should have the original rather than the remake, but we're going with the remake. This is a 2003 movie, and it's based on 1969 film of the same name that starred Michael Caine. Um, but this one, the plot is kind of updated and fairly different. So this one, the 2003 version, is directed by F. Gary Gray, and it stars a whole bunch of people: Mark Wahlberg, Charlize Theron, Ed Norton, Jason Statham, and a bunch of others, including Donald Sutherland, who we already talked about in a later stage of his career. So the story of this one is basically Mark Wahlberg is part of a group of thieves, and he's just taking over the reins of this crew from his mentor, Donald Sutherland, who, of course, is there for one last job.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah. That's another theme.
that's definitely, yeah, a common theme. So they pull off a successful heist in Venice, hence the title, The Italian Job. But after escaping, Edward Norton's character double crosses them, takes it all for himself, kills Sutherland, and leaves the others for dead. But they don't die, so they survive. And once they find Norton, they enlist the help of Sutherland's character's daughter, played by Charlize Theron, who, of course, is a safecracker in her own right. and they try to right the wrong and take down Norton and take him for everything he's got. So there are a bunch of nods to the original movie. The original movie famously used some Mini Coopers. And since in 2003, the Mini Cooper had just been rebooted on its own as a car vehicle, they used the new version of the Mini Coopers in this new version of the Italian Job, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Again, all of these movies have great casts. As you said, Jason Statham, Most Def was in this
That's right. Yeah, most of Seth
when
Green, of course, because he was in everything in 2003
yeah,
around
yeah.
that time.
Yeah, but Mos Def for me is such an underrated actor because he kind of delivers in everything he's asked to do. But
He does actually. Yeah.
yeah, this is one I wasn't actually able to get through all the way, but I had seen it in like 20 years ago when it came out. But uh yeah, it's just it's your classic crime movie and it
Yeah.
has like a good soundtrack, good like
Yes.
back and forth, back chemistry between the actors is always really important. And yeah, that I don't really have much else to say about it because I actually haven't seen the original Italian Job, but I'm sure it's a better made film.
But
No,
the
no,
thing,
no, no, no disrespect to F. Gary Gray, but he kind of does like these things where like he just blows everything up and tries to make everything a blockbuster. With no shade, no hate to him, but
no, but I think it really works in this movie. And this movie has basically every heist trope imaginable. So yes, of course, it's a bit derivative, but I think it all works because it's just all the things that have previously come together to make heist movies fun and enjoyable. And you're right, he blows it all up. He makes it bigger and he just packs them all in here. So even some of the scenes, they've got trucks that they're exploding down into the sewers and stuff. It's really big, but it's also just a lot of fun, and a lot of that comes, as you say, through the dialogue, the interaction between the cast, and all the other little things that go together to make this great. And also, Ed Norton just plays a great fucking villain.
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, he can play anybody doing anything,
Mm.
and we'll get into that. But yeah, yeah, F. Curry Gray, he's just everything from Fast and Furious to this. Like he has he definitely has a genre that he's fantastically good
Yeah,
at,
yeah, yeah. He
and
makes very solid, polished movies, and this is definitely a very polished movie.
yeah, and we had Ed Norton and Donald Sutherland in The Italian Job, and they're two of the most primary characters in two of the movies that we are going to cover.
Absolutely.
So then we have the score in 2001, and it's a I misspoke earlier when I was talking about Frank Oz, but Frank Oz is the director of this movie, and it's Robert De Niro, Edward Norton, Angela Bassett, and Marlon Brando.
Just a
God,
fucking murderer's row cast. Yeah.
no shit, dude. Uh, and unfortunately, this was Marlon Brando's last film, but it actually seems like he put the work in a little bit, and it seems like he mailed it in since the 70s. uh yeah, because I mean he was putting his lines on top of James Caan even when they were working on Godfather. But
Yeah, but I think maybe he just really enjoyed working with De Niro and Norton in this because you're right. He really like he kind of comes alive in a lot of these scenes where they're just like especially the ones between him and De Niro when he's just kind of like going back and forth and
yeah,
it's yeah it's really quite refreshing to see
That's
Marlon
exact
Brando give a shit.
that's exactly the word I was going to use. It was refreshing because uh, ever since like I said, he just gave it up, and he'll take any role that. Look, just look at the island of Dr. Moreau,
I
and
was just gonna
see,
say Island of Dr. Moreau. Yeah,
see.
that is definitely the low point in his career.
And you can go back and see that Marlon and Robert De Niro played the same character in The Godfather, and it all comes full circle in this movie that
Yeah.
it's the only movie where they played opposite each other. And while okay, I guess we should actually get into the
Yes.
movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell people what it's about. I was surprised actually when I saw how much this made because I didn't think that it was that big of a movie at the time, but it obviously did relatively well.
Yeah, so only time Brando and De Niro were on screen together, but it's all about a heist for a scepter made by a French king or commissioned by a French king in 16 something, and Edward Norton daylights as a mentally ill person, and he's so committed to his role that he has these people that are in this museum that are guarding this scepter, completely convinced that he is
It's the Customs House. It's not a museum. It's the Montreal Customs House.
right, right. And so De Niro and Brando are both
All right, yeah, I'll take over. Your cold is killing you there. So yeah, so basically, De Niro's the thief, and he's this thief that always plays it safe. Brando is the guy who kind of finds him jobs and sets things up for him, and finds defenses for the things he steals and all that kind of stuff. And then Norton is the young, cocky thief who comes in on this score because brings in the score because, as Zach just mentioned, he's the one who's been kind of really infiltrating the customs house by pretending to be this this mentally challenged janitor, and but he's gotten all the guys in that place to love him, and he's been able to scope out the entire place that way. um just one thing about the cast. Norton has said that the main reason he took the role actually was that so he could have his name listed on the credits with De Niro and Brando once in his life.
yeah, that makes sense.
Which, why not?
The thing about this movie, though, I wasn't that impressed with either the plot or the actors until about 30 minutes in when the twist comes and Norton is like the baddie.
Okay, okay, interesting. No,
Because
I
it just seemed
actually.
like it just seemed like such a basic robbery plot, and even when I was I was like, oh cool, De Niro and Brando are just chilling in the bar and having a great conversation, and all the interactions with the characters were okay, but nothing like really impressed me because when I saw the cast I was like, oh my God, this must be like great acting by all involved because they are some of the greatest actors of all time. And until Norton became like the twist at the very end, I was like, oh, okay, now this is a movie.
Right. Okay. No, I like this movie actually a lot more, I guess. And the reason why maybe I could see, especially in the mix of a whole bunch of other heist movies, why it doesn't come across as exciting or interesting or whatever. It's probably the most down to earth of all the heist movies. Like it really is just all about the meticulous planning of how they're going to do this job. Like every detail is gone over. It's really kind of showing you, okay, if you're going to do a score, this is kind of what has to happen. And that's very true to De Niro's character in this movie, who is a guy who just, as I said, he always plays it safe. He plans everything down to the detail. He'll walk away if he doesn't like what's happening. And oh man, Zach, I'm having a hard time here. But so yes, thanks for
No, good.
toughing this one out.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's so I think that's so I can see how first it might not instantly be as interesting or exciting as some, but I actually think that makes it a really good movie because it really is
Okay.
just about the kind of nitty-gritty and the detail of what's happening. And so yeah, a lot of those discussions between them and the acting, it isn't kind of big in your face acting. It's really just De Niro for the most part trying to walk this tightrope because
Yeah.
he
Okay.
knows, and of course, this is again the trope, this is one last job, this is his last thing, his last big score. But he's trying to walk this tightrope because in his heart, he knows that this is something he should walk away from, but he still thinks he can do it and he still is good enough. And there's stuff with him and Angela Bassett's character and what he's trying to get this score for to sort of change his life and retire. But I just really appreciate all that stuff about this movie.
Yeah, my favorite scene or favorite series of scenes in that movie were actually between De Niro and Angela Bassett because it was the most character development.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Yeah,
always
and
yeah.
yeah,
It,
and just one final note on that. I mean, De Niro's retirement plan in this movie is my fucking retirement dream, or maybe
oh
just my
man.
anytime dream, to just have this amazing, brick lined jazz club with a loft office above it. Like, come on, that is the dream. That would be that's what I want
Yeah, yeah, that'd be all. Yeah, that's right up your alley, Martin.
in Vieux-Port in Montreal. Like, come on. All right, that takes us to our number two movie, and that is The Sting. Now, we talked about this movie briefly when in our episode on Robert Redford. This is a 1973 movie directed by George Roy Hill, who had directed Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, which also starred Redford and Paul Newman. So this was their second pairing, as well as Robert Shaw, who plays the Mark in this one, which is great. It's from a screenplay by David S. Ward based on real life cons by brothers named Gondorf, which ends up being Newton's character's name in the film. It's set in 1936 and it really makes use of like a lot of the Depression era style and a lot of the things involved in that. Although it used ragtime music, which is fantastic, but that had kind of been mostly supplanted by big band music by 1936. But anyway, so it's a little anachronistic that way, but it works for the movie. Um, so basically, the story, there's some small time grifters. They accidentally steal from somebody with mob connections, and so the mentor of Redford's character gets killed. So he meets up with another more experienced grifter, Paul Newman, to try to get revenge by stealing money from the mob boss. But of course, because he's a mob boss, they have to do it in such a way where the mob boss doesn't ever really realize that he's been robbed or realize who did it for him. Or so of course all their lives would be in danger. So the entire plot involves a very elaborate scheme designed around betting on horse racing. And this is possibly, aside from Andor, but in terms of return on investment, um, this is possibly the most successful of the heist movies on our list. It made uh, 257 million worldwide on a $5.5 million budget. Um, and is definitely the most critically successful because it won 7 Oscars and it was nominated for 10, including winning for Best Picture and Best Director.
Yeah, I absolutely love this movie. Uh, Paul Newman and Robert Redford are both two of my favorite actors, and uh, I think the first time I saw this, it was maybe 12 or 13 or something. But I totally forgot that Robert Shaw was the Mark in this movie. And
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, I loved his performance too. He was
Yeah. He's so
so
good.
unlikable.
Yes. Yeah.
And we texted back and forth a little bit this week, and we said that uh these movies are a lot better the more the Mark is hated and more unlikable. And that is the epitome of this movie because Robert Shaw is just such an asshole. And
Yeah, I mean, he starts off the movie by killing James Earl Jones's dad. Come on.
yeah.
It
and,
doesn't get
and
much more unlikable than that.
and yeah, you have Paul Newman as the old vet that's just wants to hang it up, but he needs that one last score again.
Yeah,
Everybody
it's a
needs the one
very
last
familiar
score.
trope. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Redford as he's still kind of a kid that's come on man, we need to start get going. We need to assemble the team and all that shit. And yeah, and the fact that man, and the entire sequence at the end where everything comes together is just so elaborate. Like you think this one guy's dead, and you think that like everybody's turning on one another in the crew, but at the end of the day, Robert Shaw gets fucked, and all the crew get the sash and get away with it.
Yeah, because there's obviously all the con being done on Robert Shaw's character, but then there's also stuff they hold back from the audience, which is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
often good heist movies do. And one of them is that, there's cops that are kind of following the Redford and Paul Newman's characters, but then in the end, there's cops that are kind of in on it with them, which is just makes it that much better. It's
Yeah,
yeah, it's such a fun movie. I think I mentioned in our Redford episode that this is probably my favorite Redford movie, and it absolutely is. It's it's so good.
yeah. I mean, Newman and Redford, you can't beat that combo.
No.
So
And
that
just like sorry, the getting the team together scene in this movie is fun because it's showing the whole underworld because basically they're holding auditions.
oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
they basically got this club and they're bringing guys down. So anybody who's anybody in like the grifter world comes by to kind of like audition for a part in their scam. It's just a really funny twist on the getting the team together trope.
Which brings us to the obvious number one, which is Ocean's 11, and that would be the Soderbergh Ocean's 11, not
Yes,
the
once again,
not
a remake.
yeah, not the one with the Rat Pack. And so we have George Clooney, Bernie Mac, Brad Pitt, Elliot Gould, Casey Affleck, Scott Conn, Eddie Jameson, Don Cheadle, King Chabot, Carl Reiner, and Matt Damon as the 11. And damn, their enemies are Andy Garcia, Julia Roberts, Scott L. Schwartz, Michael Delano, and Richard Reed. Whew.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, Julia Roberts not necessarily an enemy. She's kind of
Well,
and she's kind of
she's
an unwitting part of the part of the plan.
well, she certainly is at the beginning an
Well,
enemy.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And man, I had never seen any of the oceans going in,
That's shocking to
and
me when you told me that.
I and yeah, it's a weird thing. I just had this total aversion back in the early aughts to George Clooney and Matt Damon together as as actors But I've come around since then,
Okay,
and
good.
so a couple of points. Brad Pitt eats a lot. He's the best at eating.
Yeah, he's always
He's
eating something.
he's as good at eating on film as Tom Cruise is at sprinting on film. Like those two guys have their things, and Brad Pitt is. You can look very bad at eating, but yeah, he pulls it off. Um, man, do I miss Bernie Mac?
Oh, yeah.
I never saw
Yeah, he was great.
I never saw him in anything that didn't make me laugh out loud. Like it was even one of the sitcoms, I think it was on Fox, the Bernie Mac show, where it just cracked me up all the time.
Yeah. His
Uh
scene in this with Matt Damon when Damon kind of busts him, quote unquote, and he's in there and he's just like going at him and calling Damon cracker and stuff, and Damon's trying to hide behind Andy Garcia. That scene is just amazing.
That and when he's in the car dealership and he's trying to
Oh yeah.
bring the price down, he shakes the guy's hand and he keeps squeezing his hand harder and harder and
Yeah.
harder, and he keeps bringing the price down. He's like, all right, we're good."
Like a longer handshake than Trump and Macron. Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, which is really really hard to do because really good point. And then yeah, uh, Brad Pitt trying to teach the actors like Topher Grace, and I forgot who else was in that, but that was like his intro. And uh but one rule that really threw me off is that you do not splash the pot when you're playing
Oh,
poker. And everybody was just like, okay, throw my chips, throw my
yeah,
chips in.
yeah, yeah. That's true.
Like, yeah, because I played a lot of Texas Hold'em in my life, and that threw me off. But anyway,
Yeah, well, and interestingly, when Pitt's character is teaching the young actors how to play poker, they're not playing Texas Hold'em. And
yeah, they are. Yeah,
but this movie is before Texas Hold'em, I think, became the standard, which is interesting. But yeah, like all the all the young dumb actors, and good on Topher Grace and the others who were playing themselves, but like idiot versions of
yeah.
themselves for like allowing the movie to take the piss out of them because
Oh yeah,
they're just
yeah,
such idiots. They're all reds and they're just so excited.
yeah, yeah. Just had no fucking clue what they were doing. But okay, so Don Cheadle, always love him. Had the worst accent in any movie I've ever heard. If anybody wants to go and listen to our The Boys podcast on Spotify, I can do a better Cockney accent than than Don Cheadle.
Warren Barney. I can't do accents to save my life.
But all that to say, it was such a fun movie and such great chemistry between all the actors, and it really is the like quintessential heist movie. It has every single trope you can want. Has the team, has the mark, has the stakes are high enough to where everybody would be involved. Everybody has an arc.
Yeah.
All 11 of these guys in Ocean's 11 have an arc, and yeah, just uh highly entertaining film.
And it's interesting for a movie that is so this was 2001. So obviously there'd been a bunch of heist movies before this, but this has become the sort of platonic form of a heist movie.
Mm.
Like it really isn't possible to talk about heist movies without making reference to Ocean's 11. I'm sure
Yeah,
any time a writer or a director or a producer pitches a heist movie in Hollywood these days, the conversation would involve the phrase, it's like Ocean's 11, but right? Like it has
for
just
sure.
become the heist movie. And for good reason, as you say, it is just so perfectly executed by Soderbergh as being what it is. It's just fun, it's stylish, the music, the way the camera goes through, through the casinos and
Oh, the screen wipes.
yeah, the screen wipes, they just everything about this is just note perfect to what it is that Soderbergh wants it to be. That and as you say, it uses basically it is the perfect synthesis of every heist trope you could imagine. So, you know, is it a little derivative? Sure. Is it the best movie around? Probably not, but it is definitely got to be the number one heist movie because it is what heist movies are all about.
Yeah.
Like all the misdirection, the the stuff at the end where what they're seeing, they're even sort of tricking the audience again, sort of holding back, as I said in the Sting. There's the con they're playing on Andy Garcia's character. Also, great Mark and a very unlikable Mark. All that works. Just and then they add, as you say, there's the every kind of character. Well, except maybe the maybe Casey Affleck and don't really have much of
Uh,
an arc. They're
yeah, I
just
guess. Yeah.
annoying brothers at the beginning and they're annoying brothers at the end.
Fair
But
point. Yeah, fair point.
but yeah, but everybody's got their own thing, and then it's all it's tied up with Clooney's character and his need also to try to reconcile with his ex-wife, who's played by Julia Roberts, and yeah, it's just fun, and you can see why this spawned two sequels, and now there was Ocean's 8, and I'm sure there will be more Ocean's movies to come, just because this is what a heist movie is.
Yeah, and it takes place in Vegas as
Exactly. Yeah.
Elvis and Sinatra. They're breaking into three of the
Yeah.
most
There's a vault involved. There's yeah.
yeah, they're breaking into the three most prominent casinos in Vegas. Yeah, it has everything. It has everything you want in this kind of genre. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's why it's number one.
Absolutely.
So, that's it for the heists, and we're doing musicals next week because of Wicked for Good. And if you're a longtime listener, you know that Martin absolutely hates musicals with a passion. So, so this should be fun.
But not all. I'm sure I can find, well, at least five that I really like, and we're gonna land on 10. So we'll see how this goes.
Okay, so again, apologize for my failure in this episode. It was under the weather,
Now,
but
kudos to you for for making it through despite your coughing fits off mic there. But yeah, thanks for getting it out.
so yeah, we'll see you next week on this Unsolicited Film Reviews podcast. I'm Zach Miller. He's Martin Cooke. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.